They call it the Acer Swift X, and in this video, let's unbox it. I've been getting a lot of inquiries about this computer. It is something that I've been really looking forward to reviewing for a number of reasons. First and foremost, this is the Ryzen 7 5800U with a dedicated GPU. So it's one of the first Ryzen laptops we've seen with a dedicated GPU. Now this comes with the RTX 3050 Ti and 16 gigs of RAM. So I think this is gonna be a really, really nice sweet spot for the on-the-go video editor who's looking for a little more punch in their mobile laptop. Let's go ahead and get this thing open. There we go. All right, so we pull this thing out of the box. Definitely a thin and light package, which is why I'm really excited about this one compared to some other, bigger, chunkier gaming laptops. If we can get solid performance in video editing, some After Effects, and maybe even some 3D modeling, this will be a great package. Now, it's a little bit thicker than the Acer Swift 3, which has been a longtime favorite of mine for its thin and light chassis as well as some good battery life, but not that much thicker. Looks pretty nice. Good rounded edges. I'm liking how they fit it into the bottom panel. It sits in a little deeper than I would prefer, so there's a little bit of a catch point there, but otherwise they've done a great job assembling this laptop. Let's go ahead and check out the charger real quick. Nothing too chunky, a 90-watt charger, really nice to be able to take on the go with you. Good decision there. Now, of course, the reason I do these unboxings is to give my initial impressions of the build quality and usability of the laptop, also to field your questions. So if you want to know anything about this laptop, comment below, let me know, and I'll try to include that in the full review, which I'll link up at the end of the video when it's available. So regarding the ventilation, it looks like we have a large vent along the bottom panel with our two speakers along the bottom of the chassis as well. And it looks like we have one vent here along the back panel of the chassis. So no two vents. It looks like we just have one fan here, but when we open it up, we'll give that a deeper look. Now, I'm pretty sure this is going to run very cool, being that it is a U series processor rather than the high performance 8 series processor, which should be a good win. Like I said, I keep talking about the performance we hope to expect. And then I'm also going to put this head to head against something like the Asus ROG Flow X13. These are two thin and light RTX 3050 Ti laptops, and I'm really excited to see how they go head to head against each other. Checking out the ports, looks like we have our power port on the side, USB Type-C, HDMI, USB Type-A. And on the other side, we have a Kensington lock, USB Type-A, and a headphone jack. Let's go ahead and open this thing up and take a look. First and foremost, it moves a little bit trying to open with one hand. It's a pretty stiff hinge, but that's honestly a good thing in my opinion, because that means we're not gonna have a lot of that bouncy screen that often happens when you have too loose of a hinge. So I do like that. Let's go ahead and check out the screen flex. A little bit of screen flex. I wish it was a little stiffer, but overall nothing overly concerning. And as you can actually see, that vent that I talked about on the back panel of the chassis also kind of feeds in right here to the top of the keyboard deck. So you'll have good ventilation coming through the computer with that vent. It's actually pretty large, which is a nice feature there. One thing that stands out to me about the laptop is when you open the hinge, the screen actually pushes up the keyboard deck a little bit to allow more ventilation to go underneath the chassis and pull air in to keep it cool. A lot of laptops have been doing that lately, like the G14 and the ROG Flow X13. Jumping into the screen, they actually have some nice thin bezels. I've seen a lot of chunky bezels here on the bottom of the screen lately. This is not too thick. I really like that. And then going around the screen, you have a plastic screen bezel, but everything else on this laptop is a nice aluminum chassis. So you have aluminum top cover, aluminum bottom cover, side panels, as well as your keyboard deck. Taking a look at the keyboard deck, you can see it's a simple layout. There's not that extra numpad on the side, similar in gaming laptops, but I do like the key. It's a little softer of a key press. It doesn't snap back as hard as some, and the keycaps are plastic, so they're not really a soft touch material, but overall, I really enjoy the feel of the keyboard deck. The trackpad is a good size. They've made a good use of the space. It fills in the bottom part of the keyboard deck. Sometimes I see trackpads and they have so much space around them, and I think, man, they could have utilized more of that space and given us a bigger trackpad. They've given us what seems like the largest trackpad as possible, so good work on that, Acer. It is quiet. It has a nice quiet but really gratifying click to it, and then it's secured well to the chassis. There's a little bit of tap right there as you get to the middle, but overall they've done well securing it to the chassis. My first impressions of the screen is it actually looks pretty bright. On the Acer Swift 3, the screen wasn't as bright as I would hoped. On this laptop, it looks like the screen is a little bit brighter, but until we get into the full benchmarks and I run the screen test, I won't know that for certain. But as a first impression, the screen looks nice and bright. All right, so without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and flip over the laptop, check out the internals, and see if there's any upgrade path available to us, and also check out that fan configuration. All right, so as I pull the bottom cover off of the laptop, you can see, as I thought, there's this singular fan, which is gonna pull air through the bottom of the chassis and then also through the top here. And it looks like we have our heat pipes here to cool the system. So I do like this fan, it's pretty big. And so we're gonna see how well this cools the laptop during the full test. Regarding the upgrade path, you are unable to upgrade the RAM, but you do have an extra M.2 slot. So this one comes with 512, but I could also add another 512 or a terabyte or 2 terabyte, whatever I want. So that's pretty awesome. You can add more storage to the laptop. However, RAM, make sure you order with the configuration you want, which 16 is what I recommend. Now, if you're curious about the exact pricing and availability of this laptop, you can head down into the description below and click that link. Now, if you do make a purchase of that link, we'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. That keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Now, this is a 57.28 watt-hour battery, and we'll see how well that does holding a charge for this laptop. Overall, I love the build of the laptop. It's well put together. It feels a little bit more sturdy actually than the Acer Swift 3, which is a nice upgrade, being that this laptop's gonna be a little bit more expensive and have a little bit more performance. Links if you're ready to make a purchase, likes if this video has brought you some value, and subs if you don't want to miss out on the full review of this laptop. I'll see you here in the next one.